Good evening. You are watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. A shooting attack on a church in south of the Egyptian capital kills at least 10. At least 66 people are killed in clashes on the edge of Syria's northwestern Idlib province. And Oman oil price gets closer to $64 for the first time since 2 years. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. At least 10 people, including 8 Coptic Christians, were killed when an unidentified gunman opened fire outside a church in a South Cairo suburb. It was the latest attack targeting the embattled Christian minority. The attack outside the Coptic church of Marmina left at least 1 policeman dead and 5 others wounded, including 2 critically. He also said the assailant was killed in the shootout. The attack comes amid tightened security around Christian worship places and churches ahead of Coptic Orthodox Christian celebrations of Christmas on January 7th. Police forces have been stationed outside churches and in nearby street churches across Cairo. The shootout took place when a gunman on a motorcycle tried to cross the security cordon outside the church. He was carrying an explosive device. Christians make up about 10% of Egypt's population. Israeli tanks and aircraft hit the Gaza Strip today after rocket fire from the Palestinian enclave targeted the southern community. There were no immediate reports of casualties in the exchange of fire, the first in more than 10 days. The army said Palestinians fired 3 rockets at southern Israel, 2 of which were intercepted by the Iron Dome aerial defense system. The third rocket hit a structure in a community near Gaza, causing damage but no casualties. Witnesses said Israeli tanks shelled a position in east of Gaza City. The rockets are often fired by fringe militant groups, but Israel holds Hamas responsible for all attacks from their territory. Clashes pitting mainly militant and rebel fighters against government forces killed at least 66 people on the edge of Syria's northwestern Idlib province. Excuse me. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said among the victims were at least 19 civilians killed by airstrikes, adding that the casualties excuse me, were over 24 hours of fighting in an area straddling Idlib and Hama provinces. It said 27 soldiers and members of allied parliamentary units were killed in the fighting, as well as 20 anti-regime combatants from rebel groups of the former Al-Qaeda affiliate Fatah al-Sham. The fresh violence in the area appeared to signal the initial phase of a major government operation against Idlib, the only province in the country that completely escapes regime control. Hundreds of civilians fled the scattering of villages in the area, creating queues of cars and pickup trucks heading towards the city of Idlib, loaded with bags and furniture. China today rejected accusations that it had helped Pyongyang skirt sanctions after U.S. President Donald Trump claimed that Beijing was turning a blind eye to oil transfers to North Korea. Trump's tweet was the latest salvo in his battle to persuade China to tighten the economic screws on Pyongyang over its missile and nuclear program, in a campaign that has seen him heap both praise and criticism on Beijing. The United Nations, at the urging of the U.S., has imposed a series of sanctions against North Korea aimed at getting it to halt its weapons development. China has supported the moves, but critics claim it is not rigidly enforcing the sanctions, fearful that too much pressure will cause the unpredictable regime to collapse. South Korean government sources in Seoul reported earlier this week that U.S. satellites had spotted Chinese ships selling oil to North Korean vessels at sea dozens of times since October.
是对中国内政和司法主权的公然的干涉，本身是有违法治精神的。中方坚决反对，也绝不接受。我还想说，你提到的这2个国家的驻华使馆，它作为外交机构，无权。
At least 14 people were killed when a huge blaze tore through a popular restaurant in Mumbai early today. in the latest disaster to raise concerns over fire safety in India. Many of the victims were young women who were attending a birthday party on the rooftop when the fire broke out. Doctors said they died of asphyxiation, apparently, as they tried to flee the burning building. Local media reported that a false ceiling had collapsed in the 4-story building, trapping people out inside as they tried to escape. New York City's deadliest residential fire in decades spread through every floor of a Bronx apartment building within a matter of minutes, killing 12 people and sending other residents scrambling outside into the cold and down fire escapes to safety. The dead included a child around a year old. The blaze broke out on the first floor of a 5-story building in the evening and quickly tore through the roughly century-old structure near the Bronx Zoo. Some tenants of the building climbed down fire escapes, but the flames moved so fast that many never made it out of their apartments. About 170 firefighters worked in bone-chilling cold to rescue about a dozen people from the building. Forecasters today warned people to be wary of hypothermia and frostbite from the Arctic blast that's gripping a large swath from the Midwest to the Northeast. Temperatures without the wind chill factored in dipped to minus 35 degrees Celsius yesterday in Westertown, New York. The city of Portland in Maine also experienced snowy conditions. Still to come in our news bulletin. The Omani Women's Association in the Wilaya of Taqa stresses on the significance of voluntary work in the society. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Getting closer to 64 US dollars for the first time since 2 years, the Oman oil price February 2018 delivery reached 63 US dollars and 98 cents per barrel. According to Dubai Mercantile Exchange, Oman oil price rose by 38 cents. The average price of Oman oil January 2018 delivery reached $60.79 per barrel, thus $5.19 higher than the price of December 2017 delivery. A ceremony was held in the Wilaya of Mahout in the Governorate of Al Wusta to mark the World Disabled Day. The celebration aimed to spread awareness among the members of the community on the significance of qualifying the disabled category through Al Wafa Center. It included various activities, namely children's shows and dialogue sessions that focused on topics related to training and rehabilitation of the disabled, as well as to make them participate in educational, social and various other activities in the society. It is worth mentioning that Al Wafa Center in the Wilaya, since its establishment, exerted great efforts to serve this category through a cadre of specialists in this field. The Omani Women's Association in the Wilaya of Taqa organized a ceremony to stress on the significance of voluntary work. The ceremony witnessed a wide participation from members of the society, and it included a number of activities such as visual presentations and lectures. It is worth mentioning that voluntary work with its various kinds is considered one of the main pillars in the country to encourage the spirit of cooperation and spread the good values and principles among various segments of the society. Meanwhile, the Omani Women's Association is intensifying its efforts to spread the message of awareness about programs related to voluntary work. The Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs held a ceremony in Sultan Qaboos Mosque in Sohar to conclude the training programs for imams and preachers in the governorate of North Al-Batina for the year 2017. The ceremony included a participation from around 360 imams and preachers from various wilayas of the governorate who completed various training courses that focused on Holy Quran sciences, Arabic language, preaching, prayer performance, and other related subjects. The social contact and visits among families and neighbors, as well as exchanging conversations and news, are well-known Omani traditions in various governorates of the Sultanate. In the wilaya of Deba, in the governorate of Musandam, citizens still preserve these old traditions despite of the spread of various social media networks. They usually meet on Fridays and catch up on social aspects as well as other matters of daily life while enjoying the local dishes famous in the wilaya. These citizens stress that such traditions are important, especially to instill good values and teachings among the youth and the generations to come. Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the governorates of South, Sharqiyya, Dhahira and Wusta. Winds will be northwesterly light to moderate, while seas will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. A shooting attack on a church in south of the Egyptian capital kills at least 10. At least 66 people are killed in clashes on the edge of Syria's northwestern Idlib province. And Oman oil price gets closer to $64 for the first time since 2 years. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.